investing in your own growth and learning about some of the fun and exciting things that our friends have going on. I want to introduce Casey and Steve to you. I'm going to get out of the way. GoRout has a lot of fun stuff planned, and I want to get to it as quickly as we can. So, Casey, thanks for joining us and making the time. I will let you take it from here.
Thanks, Joanna. And thanks everybody for joining today. Really excited to share what GoRout and AWRE Sports have going on. Really the first year of kind of rolling out our integration to our customers. And so I'll just briefly introduce myself and then pass it over to Steve. I'm Casey Proctor. I manage the partnerships at GoRout. I was supposed to be joined tonight by Chelsea Dobbins from our sales staff, but she just welcomed her third baby on, I think, Friday last week. So you're stuck with me tonight, but happy to be here with you all. And Steve, go ahead and share a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Steve Johnson. I am a senior executive at AWRE Sports. I know it's AWRE, and it seems like everyone is wonders how to pronounce it. It's AWRE. I have a background in coaching, player development, and obviously technology, and just really excited to, deliver player development tools to coaches from. We have pro teams, organizations. It's all the way down to high schools and travel ball teams. So
cool. So yeah, kind of a little itinerary here for anyone in here that may not be, or seeing this, that may not be familiar with GoRout. I am going to take us through a short demo of our system. At this point in time, particularly with recent NCAA rules updates, and knowing that in the travel ball space, use of coach-player communication technology has been pretty well wide open for at least the full past couple of seasons. I'll just run through our product quickly so that there is an understanding of how it works, and then kick it over to Steve to show off their charting app. And then after that, we will kind of get into the meat and potatoes of how the two technologies work together and what exactly that provides to coaches who choose to use both of them in tandem. So I will pull up my screen here to our demo screen. So this is GoRout Diamond in a nutshell. Again, coach-player communication in its simplest form. It is calling your pitches. We allow for full customization of your system so that the way that you communicate your pitch and play calls, first and thirds, bunt Ds, however you communicate with your team on game day, you can bake into your personal GoRout system. So looking around at things here, these are our player devices, proprietary watch. Size is similar to like an Apple Watch, but it's our own product. Here is our tablet. We also have a handheld device specifically for college coaches. With the NCAA rules update, we've actually seen an influx of teams who had a tablet adding a handheld because this just fits nicely in your back pocket at the third base coach's box. So that you can call in your plays on the base paths there. Bounce back over here to the tab to kind of show you some features quickly. So here we're on the game screen. That is essentially where you will build out all of your games, right? So I just have three little examples here, but adding a new one is as easy as just clicking add a new game. And then you see these other buttons here. Manage the lineup specifically is a great feature. And again, for anyone that's doing scouting, so more prominently in the college audience, we see folks use this, but you can build out your opponent lineup and any scouting notes that you have on individual hitters, you can add there in that little comment box. So leadoff batter, Rogers, we know they're a green runner, and you can have up to 40 characters on each of these position-specific notes. So every time that we change batters, once we start the game, each watch will receive a notification with those scouting notes, including, you can put in your shifts, get your defense aligned, whatever, based off of your charts, so that you just get that information out more quickly. Get rid of cards, whatever. Everything's right on every player's wrist in the field. So what we'll do here is we'll just start a game quickly. Each of your watches will turn to this screen where your players would select their position for the day. We will go for this purpose, pitcher, catcher, and shortstop. And then coming over here to your defense tab, this is where all of your play calls are. I'm filtered currently to two things. If we take those off, these are all of my calls built out. And that's, baseball and softball stuff here for the purposes. Tonight we'll focus on softball, obviously. But this is kind of a mess, right? And if you're on the handheld, obviously that would be a lot to scroll through. So we have this filter feature. So some coaches like to filter by pitch type. This brings up all your fastballs that you have built out. Some folks like to do it by pitcher specifically. So let's say Garcia's on the bump, and this is her arsenal. So you get to build out her repertoire in here, so that you're focused on just calling her pitches on your screen while she's on the rubber. The color coding just kind of simplifies how you look at things and how you interpret it visually. And easy as this, let's just say, again, mentioning the opponent lineup that's tucked away over here, just tap on the batter that's up. There's that notification for everybody once they are coming up to the plate. And then as we just call pitches to every watch. And so throughout the game, every time you call a pitch, everybody that's in the field knows what to be on their toes for. If we've got off speed, we know what's coming, everything of that nature. Then another cool thing to mention with the filters here is, let's say we get into first and third defense, we can just pull that in automatically. So we retain all of Garcia's pitches, and then we also have our first and third D here. So let's say we're going to run a back pick and then a pitch out. So we just tap this. Immediately, the whole defense sees that we're running a back pick, and then we're going to go fastball way out. And then just 2 seconds like that, everybody knows the plan on defense. Everybody knows the pitch, and then we just get to execute. Other thing to note here on just the main screen, we have down here this little flame icon is the hot list. Depending on, again, how you communicate with your team, this is a very unique tool that is you only find on GoRout in comparison to other products in our industry. You pull that up, and I like to just keep coaching notes in here. So if we're struggling, step off and breathe. If somebody's dragging their head and you want to see them pick their chin up, again, however you communicate to your team, you just get to type that out yourself and then send it on game day. Click over to the offense tab. There's all your offensive play calls. We'll switch over to the handheld for this purpose. And let's just say we want to lay down a push bunt. Everyone gets it. Simple as that. So again, the idea behind our entire company is coach efficiency, improving clarity and communication, and taking a little bit of stress off of the players on the field so they can focus entirely on execution. And with that, I will pass it over to Steve to show off the AWRE charting app for you all.
Thanks, Casey. Yeah, a little bit background of AWRE first. I mean, we started as a video platform. We have two main products: our AWRE installed system, which is a multi-camera installed product that we put on, like I said, pro fields all the way down to high school and little leagues. And then we have a mobile product where you can stream from as many devices as you want. Every pitch is obviously streamed to mom, dad, and coaches, but then every pitch is cut into a highlight and put on the players' profiles. So we started with that video element, but our goal was always to basically turn every field into a smart field. And one of the keys of doing that is obviously capturing data. And we didn't just want to capture data and be a stat collecting. We actually wanted to give actionable feedback. So partnering with companies like GoRout enable that. So we started with a charting app, and developing a charting app is very difficult. We learned that, the hard way. And we actually have a brand new charting app coming in 2026. One of the keys with our partnership with GoRout was to limit the amount of touch points, right? Because coaches, either a volunteer assistant or a player or someone, mom, dad, is charting this game. And that data that they're charting is important to us. So eliminating touch points and making the charting app a little bit more seamless has been our basically core, focus over the last year. So I'm going to kind of show you our 2026 model, if you will. Basically, it starts with you have this field and you have the pitcher versus the hitter. And all you need to do is click pitch when the ball is pitched. And then the list of options come up. Obviously, there's balls, strikes, swing and misses, and whatnot. The key differentiator between us and a lot of other charting apps out there is going to be that extra level of data that you can input. So we can find exact pitch points that, locations that were pitched, and then pitch types. So there was a fastball on the inside corner, charted, done. We then have another pitch. We have a called strike. And now we have this 1-1 count, and we have these two pitch types. We then have this last pitch, this ball that was put in play. It was a changeup, up and in, and it was hit out of the park. The key to this for us, however, is giving actionable data, right? So with our partnership with GoRout, all of those touch points, so fastball, inside, changeup, up and away, those are going to be matched with the pitch calls. So we're going to be able to, and I think Casey's going to show it here in a little bit, we're going to be able to see, pitch intent versus execution and give execution scores. We're also going to see what sequences, are out there, right? We're also coming out with what we call our Maddox product, which is our AI product, and it's going to give you real-time feedback as you're charting a game. So, I was a coach, and when I was calling pitches, sometimes you kind of get lost what you were doing, and you wind up throwing 2-0 fastballs a lot, quite frequently. And maybe you follow up every 2-0 fastball with a 2-1 fastball or 2 or 3-0 fastball. What we're going to be able to do is actually see the performance of those pitches and give you real-time feedback of what is actually happening. And we're super excited about the partnership with GoRout, because not only in-game decisions are going to be better, but post-game decisions are going to be better as well. And player development and team development is something that we kind of hang our hat on here at AWRE. And then pairing all of that with video, we think gives us that end-to-end smart field concept. The one thing I didn't show here is any velo. We integrate with Stalker, and you can basically Bluetooth connect to our charting app. And you could get velo, spin rates, and exit velocities as well. So there's another level of metrics in addition to just the pure charted pitch results and execution scores.
Looks clean. And I personally, I'm going to pull up the kind of the back end, the results of what charting the game looks like on AWRE. I personally charted this game. I'm not currently coaching, so I was watching the Royals and the Braves and retroactively called every pitch with, pitch and location. So I had built out my system. You saw all of those calls. It was a Rich Hill game, and he throws 7 pitches. And so I had all of his pitches typed in with in, out, up, down, and leaning, again, retroactively into the result of the pitch and then charting it on the app. And the result of that comes together to look a little bit like this. So again, this is kind of the back end, and we can click around a little bit later to kind of talk further about how the integration actually takes place and what it looks like for the user. But here, box score is just your box score, just stats that you would have after a game. The streams tab is obviously limited to if you have AWRE's camera set up, clips being the same. And then in here is where you get that more detailed information. So right here, you see that Rich Hill was on the mound for us pitching. This gives us all of the pitches that we threw in each zone here, right? So you can toggle between just the chart there, flip it to a heat map to see, were we missing in a specific place? Where were we attacking? Were we too frequent in one area? So on. Then you can also toggle on the pitch points. And so these are all of the pitches that were thrown in that game. You can go back here and just look at his breaking balls. Fun fact, Mr. Hill was DFA'd after this start. So these elevated curveballs tell a little bit of story there. But turn that off, see where his fastballs were, turn that off, look at any other pitches that were thrown. So that is, results of how pitches were executed. Then we get to see over here on the spray chart, which types of pitches were hit where during the game. So just, big shout out to Steve and the dev team at AWRE for making this product and, understandable, easy to click through. It really just simplifies the necessity of charting games. And I was a relief pitcher in college, so I spent probably twice as much time on a bucket with a binder as I did on the bump. And it's just there's a lot of focus that goes into it, a lot of time, particularly programs that have a limited staff. You have to pawn those duties off on whoever you can find. And so being able to have the charting app on your phone and then have all of this sent to you automatically post game as a user of GoRout and AWRE really saves a ton of time in the office. You're not digging through the charts. Will absolutely amplify your scouting throughout the year. Other things quickly just clicking through too is your in play rate, so we can see how often we threw each of our pitches, when they were hit, were they strikes, were they balls, contact rate in total against Mr. Hill that night. What did we throw for swing and misses? Again, not a great outing. Our strike rate, where were we pounding the zone? Just bringing the visual element into all of that. And Steve, feel free to jump in anywhere if I'm glossing over anything. But again, these are all just it's very granular analysis that again is automated post game, just sent to your inbox.
And Casey, if you go to the game analysis on the bottom, this is something we're building out right now. If you click that guy, basically Maddox is taking all of the data that you guys coaches input into AWRE with GoRout and is giving you basically a summary that is on steroids. We've done a really good job of breaking this out as well, which I can show you in a minute here. This is obviously our dev site. And there is going to be a full-fledged summary of here are your 4 best hitters of this game. Here's their trends over the last 4 to 8 games. Here are your 4 best, which pitches were missed, your 4 best pitches. Here's the trend over the last 7 to 10 games. And we're really excited about that Maddox component as well with our partnership with GoRout.
Yeah, and something else that's really cool, and this will kind of parlay into the pitch intent versus result piece that Steve teased earlier. This overview really it paints the picture of how you execute it on game day, but everybody here knows that what happens on game day isn't a coincidence. And so the opportunity to use GoRout and AWRE in conjunction in the bullpen while you're experimenting or working through kinks, whatever it might be, you can get this feedback at practice as well. And so again, where that comes into play to be super valuable is while we're in the bullpen, again, just kind of shifting gears here. Let's just say we're working on fastballs in. Then as we call fastball in and replicating game scenario, devices on, we're rolling through everything. We call that pitch in on GoRout, and then we chart the result on the AWRE app. What we're going to end up seeing is how well we're doing. Obviously, with the counts and everything, that's kind of an in-game element. But how often are we executing? How often are we missing? Are we missing over the plate? Where are we getting hurt? Just helping paint the picture of Garcia was on the mound in my demo site. If she's missing her changeup over the heart of the plate all day, this can help us understand better, like, what do we need to focus on? Then we can go back and AWRE holistically with the video as well is such an advantage because then we can review mechanics and the intent and the result married together with a visual look into what's actually happening to create that is such an advantage competitively. And again, AWRE's bread and butter in player development. So that's, every single pitch type that was called. And so on GoRout, it's 4-seam, up, in, down, out, way out, whatever. As you call it and you chart it, the data marries in the cloud and then provides you with the information post game of how often did we execute with each pitch in each count. Are we missing over the plate? Really just helping to better understand exactly what's going on game day.
Yeah, and Casey, I'll just share something real quick. The key for us, like I said, has been not just to collect stats, but also to give actionable, data, and provide, data-driven feedback. So one of the key things I keep mentioning is this Maddox box. So every coach gets, kind of into this Maddox here, and you can basically ask questions just like you did ChatGPT or an LLM. So for this one, I'll just say, this team, just give me my team's OBP. This guy comes up, I then have a table. So if I wanted to, we're calling game with GoRout, we're charting and AWRE. I would be able to then have a conversation with Maddox about all that data that Casey just showed you. And then if you had video as well, we would, Maddox would say, hey, do you want to see these videos, right? So here's all of your stats and effectiveness on 2-0 fastballs. Show me that. And then show me, the playlist of video that matches this as well. So we're really excited about A, the partnership, but then B, the key here is giving actionable feedback to all our coaches rather than just some sort of stat collector.
Great insight. Lastly, I'll pull my screen back up just to kind of show exactly what the process looks like. Of you just bought GoRout, AWRE hits you up and says, hey, you are eligible for free access to our charting app, and each of its benefits. Show you really quickly how simple it is to make the magic happen, if you will. So this is just, I clicked back to the main screen. Manage team is going to pull up all of our games inside so that you can review old game data like I was just showing. But over here on the tech tab, you will see your GoRout here. Click setup integration. And the screen that this is going to pull up is actually going to be where you'll map your pitch calls. So once you have your GoRout system built out with all of your pitch calls, and they're corresponding locations with each, they will port into your AWRE side here. So these are all the pitch calls within my system, and so it's all of my play calls. So like with this, we can just ignore because it's a back pick. So that's not a pitch that we need anything to track. But fastball way out, you get to choose what pitch type it is. So we're going to grab a four seam, and then we get to associate a location with it. So then when fastball way out, whatever your lingo is for your pitch out, is called on GoRout, and then it's charted on AWRE, the intent of the pitch is defined via the pitch call, and then AWRE tells us how we execute it after the fact. Again, you get to do this with all of your pitch calls. It took me, I don't know, I've got probably 100 different pitches in here, and I got it done in 20 minutes. So just a quick stop in the office to save you a ton of time after the fact digging through your charts. Steve, is there anything that you would like to add here? Got you muted.
There was a question in the chat, and it was kind of relevant to what you just pulled up. Yeah, basically, from your GoRout, you would come in here and you would indicate what each pitch type and location should be. So as Casey just showed, hey, this is an outside fastball off the plate. You call that pitch on GoRout, your pitcher misses middle, unfortunately, and you chart it middle. We now have that execution score that it was supposed to be outside, and it was middle. So it was a miss, right? And then we amp that up with, okay, well, what was the result? So all of your misses on that pitch, we will be able to see, what was the OBP against that pitch? What was the slugging percentage against that miss? And so on and so forth. So I don't know if that answered the question, but I think it did.
Yeah, I mean, and really the entire idea of when we first started communicating GoRout and AWRE was to elevate. If you remember in my demo, elevate the coach efficiency piece of all of this. Both of our teams, GoRout and AWRE, are made up of former coaches and players, and so we have all spent time in that office. We have all spent time grinding through those charts and figuring it out, and then finding the best way to communicate it back to our players. And so finding a way to marry again that part, which is the main thing, the intent versus the result, to visually create an image for a coach to sit down with their players and say, this is what we're doing wrong, and this is how often we're doing it wrong. This is what we need to address and work on in practice. And so at the end of the day, that's exactly what we're trying to do, is just make your lives a little bit easier and help you get that player development piece dialed in as well as you can. With that, really, this whole event tonight the objective was to dive into this a little bit. We on the GoRout side started doing a little bit of marketing about the integration and trying to build some awareness of it. And we started fielding a lot of interest and questions, and wanted to, take the time tonight to at least create a single place where we could really walk through it, describe it all, and then answer any questions that anyone might have here. So looks like another one just came in. Does a person determine the actual pitch location? Watch where the catcher's glove catches the pitch, or is it measured via technology? When you're using the charting app, that it is a manual process. So again, if I, going back to my playing days, if I was not pitching that day, if I was on book, then I'm just sitting in the dugout. If I'm on spray charts, I'm just sitting in the dugout. If I'm tracking pitch results with that chart, I'm sitting behind home plate. And that's small time junior college and gritty NAIA program for you. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's a manual process with gathering that information. But Steve, if you have anything to add to that, feel free.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously we're talking about simply the charting and the GoRout integration. Our core competency is video. And we do have an AWRE system where you can put 6, 7, I mean, some fields have 15 cameras now, it gets crazy. And we do have a very beta version of computer vision and camera vision CV coming out that will help, we'll say, streamline some of those pitch calls, right, from a center field camera. So if you do have an AWRE installed camera system, we will be able to help with pitch calling in the future as well.
Another question. Oh, there you go. Yeah, and that too, just the further and kind of finally painting the picture of where this all combines. You could just chart your games with AWRE, and you could just call your games with Coach Up and chart it traditionally. You could just call your game old school and chart it old school, whatever. Everyone has their own method. But the purpose of bringing this together is just to further the opportunity of communicating what is actually taking place. And an issue that we've come to learn with what exists out there right now, technology wise, which Steve just addressed, in terms of pinpointing the pitch location, is also not being able to perfectly identify the pitch type in that video review. And so there is an element where if somebody's throwing a tight, hard sinker and also a two-seam breaking the other way, the camera might have a difficult time differentiating that. The ultimate value prop in using both GoRout and AWRE in tandem is that the information of what was actually intended, what was actually called, what was actually thrown is then always going to be accurate so that you get the best look into what exactly happened. Joanna, if you want to just give another minute or so for any other questions. Otherwise, I feel pretty good about covering things there.
You bet. No, you guys were great. I looking at it thinking, what can my 10-year-olds do with this, right? And I say that a little bit tongue in cheek, but the one thing I'd love to know what some programs have done from the education piece. Like, we talk about that a lot with teaching your catchers to call pitches. And I just think this would be really valuable of letting them see what's actually happening. I mean, I don't want to call it a video game, but I have to think that there's a lot of it that can relate and help them understand, okay, this is what's happening in this sequence, or this maybe is why the transition from drop ball to curveball isn't working. Or have you heard some things that programs are doing as a way to use this as a teaching tool with maybe new pitching coaches or catchers who are just learning to call pitches?
Steve, do you have something there?
Yeah, I mean, to your point, Joanna, it's funny when I talk to coaches and even when I was coaching, over 150 pitches in a game or 300 pitches in a game, how many pitches total between two sides, you think you know exactly what's happening, right? You're like, oh, I know that that was a 2-0 fastball that we gave up a home run on. And it's so weird when you go back, you're like, oh no, it was a 2-1 slider, right? And that's the beauty of this marriage is it's an artifact of data, right? It's an artifact of data of the pitch call, and it's an artifact of data of what the pitch was actually thrown. And to your question, yeah, we've had a lot of coaches and players communicate with us to what Casey talked about before in the bullpens, right? In practices. So, hey, here's all the data we had in this game. Here's what we did over the weekend. Here's what we're going to work on over the week. And then we chart that and we call that just like we called our games. So, yes, to your point, educating players, educating coaches, giving them actionable feedback is literally what this is all about.
And just a little bit of color too from the GoRout side. The number one thing we were talking before we hopped in here about going to clinics, NFCA, regional coaching clinics, everything. The number one pushback that GoRout receives holistically is, well, I've been doing it my way for 25 years. What do I need this for? And, the truth is that if you're fully committed to trusting that memory piece of what actually happened, you can lean on that and help your catcher learn how to call a game the right way. Read a barrel and identify what's happening. Those aren't things that GoRout's eliminating. All that we're doing is expediting the process on game day. So we're not taking away anything of the learning curve, and then with AWRE we get to just actually enhance it a little bit. And at the end of the day too, you could have a catcher that just reads their watch and receives the ball and doesn't pay attention to the barrel, but that's a bigger problem. That's something else that you got to talk about internally. So that's always what we get as pushback in terms of adopting our product. And at the end of the day, we're not trying to dumb the game down. We're trying to protect your signs, make sure there's continuity, and help everyone just execute at a higher clip.
Oh, it's great information. And I think it's really helpful for people. And the questions we get a lot in education are, pitch calling and making that transition from pitcher to pitching coach. So I love, hearing about your experiences too, guys, of doing that, because it's hard. It's a totally different world, especially if you are dealing with pitchers who are unique. I had a 5'0" lefty curveballer and a 6'2", heavy drop baller. I can't call a game the same way. And sometimes if you don't have a lot of experience in that, I would think these tools would be great. Or even if you think you have a lot of experience, it's a great little fact check for you probably.
And it's funny because you look at analytics now, or analytics are everywhere. I think it's just become such a buzzword. But a lot of it is, his fastball gets hit a lot, or his curveball gets hit a lot, or whatever. But what we're doing here is the sequence is really what matters, right? And that's something that I don't think, has been captured very well. And that's what we're really looking to capture here. Is it's not just your fastball is getting hit; it's your fastball is getting hit after you threw XYZ pitches, right? And in certain counts and whatnot. So giving that extra level of feedback to me is super important here.
One last thing too, off of what you originally said, Joanna, about 10-year-olds. At the end of the day, the game speeds up every season that passes, right? And so I'm not certain that there's an exact science of when it starts to be valuable for teams to start charting their games, whether that's 10U, 12U, 14U, whatever it is. And in the travel ball space, the GoRout system, like I showed earlier, the opponent lineup, that doesn't really mean much, at least until you're through the lineup once, because at least, maybe we can find out who's a slapper or whatever. You can build that in as the game goes on. But as far as, charting the game, if you're doing it and you are a believer, a user in pitch calling technology, this is the only place that you can marry that process and then actually get more out of it than just writing it down pitch by pitch. So trying to create that unique opportunity for folks to take advantage of is really the end goal for both of us here.
For sure. And you know, the other piece we haven't even talked about would be the health piece. And I would think this would give you a lot of information too of, you know, when is velocity changing, when is accuracy changing, when are we getting hit hard? You know, some of those key things of, you know, effectiveness, but that also would lend itself more to, you know, keeping your pitchers healthy. Um,
Joanna, you're gonna hate this, Joanna, but
Maybe.
you know, Max Fried was pulled a little bit early a couple weeks ago, and people lost their minds on Aaron Boone. And I'm not saying whether it was right or wrong, whether he got pulled, but the analytics showed that his velo dropped, right? And apparently, when his velo drops 2 miles per hour, whatever that data point is, he has an ERA of something crazy, right? And obviously, that's the Yankees, and obviously they have millions and millions of dollars spent on analytics and front, you know, people, right? And that's what we can do here, which is so cool, right? So from a travel perspective, from a high school perspective, from a college perspective, it really doesn't matter anymore the amount of resources you have, because we can give you that data, Joanna, in real time. That so and so is, you know, his velo has dropped from X to Y, and in games that this has happened in the past, his ERA is whatever, and that's a performance element. But from what I love and what you mentioned is a health element as well, right? So now we can actually see, all right, you know, this dude has been trending down over the last 3 weeks on velo. And since we have so many pitches and so much data points to rely on, we can actually give you some information based on just the world of baseball or softball. I mean, more prevalent baseball, obviously, but when we see things like this, their chances of getting hurt are dramatically increased. So that level of data is something that, you know, I am super excited about here, not just from a performance perspective, but from a health perspective as well.
Bringing us back to the chat here. Got a question from Coach. To use this in a bullpen session, is there a setting for that, or do you start a new game? So I'll pull my demo site back up here. The functionality of the data connecting, it starts with an active game on GoRout. But an important thing to note on that is that these 3 games, what is executed within that particular game doesn't affect your GoRout system at all. So you could just add a game that is just called Bullpen. And when you're in the bullpen, every time you have a session, you would just kick that one on. And then all of your pitches, everything here, irregardless of the game, all of your information is already there and it stays. So all of your pitches, and again, going through each of your pitchers, let's say that it's Johnson's day in the bullpen. Here's her pitches. Let's say we're going double barrel and Hoover's next to her. There's her pitches. And so you would technically have an active game, but that's not really making an impact. One other cool thing that on the AWRE side, it populates the date and who you played. So it would just say bullpen and the date. So then you would have the reference point to return and review everything that took place in that session.
Tracking bullpens, same thing, Steve. It gives you more information too with just number of pitches thrown. I'm always amazed, you know, we don't pay attention to that as much. How many are they throwing in the bullpen? Sometimes you leave them unattended. You know, you have no idea how many pitches they've thrown or what they think they've thrown and in pregame warmups, and all of a sudden, you know, you're way ahead of where you thought you would be or what that you know, what that impact might be. So really great stuff, guys. I've had a ton of fun listening and learning. I hope that you all reach out real quick. What's the best way, Casey, for people who are watching the recorded version, maybe to get in touch with you? Should they send you an email? What's the best option here?
Yeah, sure. So if there's a question specific to tonight, you could absolutely just send that to me, casey@gorout.com. If you're interested in GoRout, probably the simplest way, I mean, GoRout.com, obviously, but if you go to the NFCA website as well and click on our logo, there is GoRout.com/NFCA. So you could visit that URL as well. And then short form just giving us your contact information so that your appropriate sales rep can reach out and then start building the package that's right for your program.
Awesome. And we talked about this too. We're going to see you in Vegas. That is coming up soon. So always great information to be had there as well. I'll give it a last call for questions. If anyone has one, get in that Q&A quick to jump in there. And other than that, you answered on mine already. But every once in a while you get into these and you think, oh, if I was still coaching, which is probably what your office does all day, which is kind of fun because there's definitely things that we hear from a lot of our members. I wish I could do this, or I wish I could do that. And really the tools are there. You just got to be creative, right? With how it makes sense for your program. And this might be a way that you can eliminate 8 different charts, right? You say you don't have the staff, but really you might need less staff. There may be some options there. So.
Yeah, that's a huge portion of our market really is, and really been truly surprised over just this calendar year with the adoption in the travel space. But we have a ton of our business is from D2 down through the junior college level, including NAIA. And again, being a part of 2 programs like that, it's 2, maybe 3 coaches at both the stops that I had. And, this stuff would have not only made my life as a player much easier, but certainly behind the scenes for the coaches in the office would have been a huge advantage to them.
For sure. Well, I don't see any more questions. Steve, Casey, thank you both for jumping on and chatting with us, giving us some information. I know we will have more from you soon, but those of you that are watching, hope you enjoyed it. If you are so inclined to reach out, please do so. If you need more information, you can always come through the NFCA as well. But we will see you all next time. Thanks again, guys. Have a great night, everyone.